cracking the code on the greatest of all time. This is the GOAT Code. He was born in 1982 in the college town of Auburn, Alabama. On his high school football team in his senior year, he was named both Most Valuable Wide Receiver and Most Valuable Linebacker. Even though he grew up in the shadow of the legendary Auburn football program, the only school who offered him a scholarship was Troy University. He became a starter as a sophomore, and by his senior year, the Sun Belt Defensive Player of the Year was widely regarded as one of the best defensive ends in all of college football. And then, on April 23rd, 2005, he was selected 11th in the first round by the Dallas Cowboys. And now, from the Pro Football Hall of Fame class of 2023, dominant edge rusher, DeMarcus Ware. DeMarcus Ware.
What's up, man? How you doing?
Thank you so much for being on the GOAT Code.
Thank you. Hey, I'm glad you invited me on here.
Growing up in Alabama, were you always looking at the University of Alabama, and then you get recruited to Troy?
Yeah.
What was that journey like?
Yeah, I was looking at Auburn or Alabama, either you're Roll Tide or you War Eagle. But for me, I was a late bloomer. So in high school, I was 185 pounds soaking wet, and I wasn't fast at all. You get overlooked by the big schools because you're underdeveloped. But Troy's what I needed. And so then when I got there, I gained about 10 pounds every year, 3 inches later, right? 50 pounds bigger, and then running a 4.3, 4.4 speed. I mean, then you start to pick up and start getting drafted high.
And that late growth spurt helped his draft stock. In fact, he grew into a massive 7-foot wingspan. That's the same wingspan as NBA All-Star Ben Simmons, even though Simmons is half a foot taller. Your defining word and characteristic you feel is tenacity.
Yeah.
But you are so cerebral.
That's an intangible that a lot of players don't think about is how can you manipulate these X's and O's? I've watched the film and I know exactly what the quarterback is saying. Let's say if it's a Drew Brees and he's like, sausage 31. That's a play action. I remember that from watching tape. And then I'll look at the tackle. If it's outside foot, it's back, cool, I know he's gonna overset me. If it's straight back, I know that he's gonna go straight back, I can go underneath. Okay, and now look at the center. His hands are here, and as soon as he clenches at his hands, I know the ball's coming. All that stuff in about 3 seconds. I heard sausage 31. I looked at his heel, I looked at the center clench, so now when you see it in the game, it's just second nature.
Whether lining up with one hand in the dirt or standing up in a 2-point stance, Ware helped redefine the position of edge rusher. As a tweener, exceptional at both D-end and outside linebacker, number 94 was the 3rd fastest player to reach 100 sacks in NFL history. The best comparison in recent memory is edge rusher Myles Garrett, whose quickness off the line applies disruptive pressure to every backfield he faces. One skill DeMarcus brought to the line of scrimmage wasn't developed on football fields, but was developed in dojos.
I had mixed martial arts. As an offensive lineman, they're punching majority of the time, so I had to figure out how to protect myself. We would go through sparring lessons. Every single time he might punch me with my left hand, right hand, 2 hands, he'll give me every single thing to tackle with. So I learned how to manipulate what they're doing and now me be the attacker and still get to the quarterback.
And remember, those martial arts techniques are being used at high speed. As he's trying to get to the quarterback around the edge, Depending on his velocity and the radius of his path, he can experience G-forces up to 4 times his body weight. So for split seconds, he can feel like he weighs up to half a ton. That's as much as a full-grown moose. So what do you think will be your legacy?
I think the underdog legacy. The legacy of you can make it if you put in the time. Because a lot of players that come out of college undrafted, coming from a small high school, it doesn't matter. The opportunities that I got, I just took full advantage of them. And I became one of the best in the world. That's my first time saying this, the best in the world. Because I just took every opportunity that I got and I just took full advantage of it. So any of these kids that think that, hey, you know, I can't do it, you can do it if you want it, whatever you set your mind to.
DeMarcus Ware, thank you
Yes,
so
sir.
much.
Thank you for inviting me out, man.
God bless you.
Yes, man. Thank you.
So let's look at all the variables that we factor in to determine the GOAT code for DeMarcus Ware. 654 tackles and 35 forced fumbles. 171 tackles for loss. As of 2022, that's 4th all time. 138.5 sacks, which is 8th all time. As of 2022, 0.78 sacks per game is the 3rd highest sack rate of all time. 9 Pro Bowls, first team All-Pro 4 times, and 1 Super Bowl ring. When you start with measurables like wingspan, speed, and lateral quickness, and add an intangible like martial arts training, you've unlocked the code that makes DeMarcus Ware a true GOAT. For the GOAT code, I'm John Brenkus.